Alright, brothers and sisters, this is your brother G World 7_D. And I'm going to use this book again, One World, One America, Tartanians and Moors. Now, first off, I'm going to say this. I told you sometimes I try to listen to different people and hear what they have to say. But there's a lot of ignorance that's going on in our community, man. I'm hearing Negroes say that the first time so-called blacks were in America was in 1492. They weren't here before 1492. They weren't here before slavery. That's a damn lie. All right. Anyone who's telling you that, they're being mischievous. They're just flat out lying. They're just ignorant. And it could be all three. That is totally ignorant and inaccurate information. And unfortunately, many of these Negroes are in a position where they're considered educators, or they're educating our children with this lie. So you hear anyone who tell you that so-called black people wasn't here before 1619 or 1492, just see them for the idiot that they are. All right, and then I'm gonna go on from there. I'm gonna go to page. Let's see, 192. Correct. 1 second, because I'm going to turn to the page, because I want to emphasize something, because our history has been totally hijacked. It's been totally hijacked, but when you start putting things together, and you start doing the research, it's literally in your face. And I've said that so many times, how it's in your face. Things in your face, but you're going to have to want to seek it. All right, you're going to have to want to grab it and want to take it and reclaim it. Take back your history, because it's been hijacked by foreigners who have no right to this land, or they just hijack the name of this land, or the true nature of this land. Okay, right here. Native wisdom of the serpent, Quetzalcoatl. I'll pronounce that correctly. The native Mexican Mayas were the Nagas/niggas that took the serpent wisdom from the Americas and into India, Egypt, and Mesopotamia. The key takeaway is that ancient America exported its knowledge to the East, not the other way around. I repeat, the key takeaway is that ancient America exported its knowledge to the East, not the other way around. Go a little bit further down. And it goes right here. For the first time in modern ages, the cosmogonic notions of the Mayas rediscovered. They will be found identical with those of other civilized nations of antiquity. In them are embodied of the secret doctrines communicated in their initiations to the adepts in India, Chaldea, Egypt, and Samothracia. Samothracia, I'll pronounce that correct. The origin of the worship of the cross, of that of the tree and the serpent, introduced in India by the Nagas, who raised such a magnificent temple in Cambodia, in the city of Angkor Thom, to their god, seven-headed serpent of the Mayas, and afterwards carried his worship to Akkad and to Babylon. In the Popol Vuh, which is sometimes called the Bible of the Maya, the plumed serpent was seen as the central creator god, the one that the other gods went to when the creation of the universe was to begin. Okay, according to the Mexican lore, we also know that the plumed serpent, among the other roles, was regarded as the bringer of civilization and the calendar. In their view, when the plumed serpent disappeared, the civilization would suffer. But as he returned, they would go through a rebirth and flourish. For this reason, it was a beloved God whose return they would long for. All right. According to the legend, the embodiment of the plumed serpent, a priest sitting in Tula by the name of Tipilson Quetzalcoatl, has been expelled from the city about 500 years early, but has sworn to return because he feared to return. Montezuma was very accommodating to Cortez and allowed him to enter his capital, Tenochtitlan, today's Mexico City. All right, and I'm going to go on right here. A serpent is the most natural symbol to be used by anyone who would like to represent a mathematical sine wave. And what the ancient peoples of Mesoamerica and elsewhere were aware of was that history, including the rise and fall of civilization, was driven by waves of creation. There were, in fact, 9 waves of creation that created the universe in preset directions of evolution. The reason that the plumed serpent went by the name of the 9 winds was that there were 9 such sine waves, creating spiritual winds corresponding to 9 levels of creation, as symbolized by the Terence formed pyramids. All right, and you see this image of the ancient Egyptian. This is like a picture illustration. And here, the disc, and here the serpent right here. And I'm gonna go on. You see some of the pyramids with the serpent on there. Right here in Americas. If I get a clear picture. Alright. Look at these beautiful pyramids. Look at these step pyramids. Alright, but look at these pyramids. The image of the serpent on these pyramids. Alright. Here's a see the serpent. 2-headed serpent, like the yin and the yang. And see there's a round ball. Like see the world is round, the global form of the world. 2 serpents. Right there. Alright, and I'm gonna go on even further. Here in America, you have, and I showed this book before, Serpent Mounds. Alright, you have the Serpent Mounds. This is in Ohio, and this is out of this book called Ohio Archaeology. The powerful image of the serpent, right? And this is ancient America right there. You go with ancient Egypt, and I showed this book before, Pharaohs of the Sun. All right, I'll go to page. Let's try page 119. Let's try page 119. I want to show you something. This is what you got to pick up on. All right. See, this is supposed to be Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Look at this. Look at this. All right. This image here. The image here. And here you can get it if I get a closer look. All right. Let's go to another page. 125. This is even a clearer view. On the head. See this? See it? Alright. I'm going even further to show if I can get another picture, the image of it. Because it's sometimes hard to get. Ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt. Alright. See that symbol right there? Alright. Let me see if I can show you more. I don't know if I can. That's a good picture right there. You know, this picture is color. I don't know if you can see it a little bit. You see a little bit. Get closer. We get a clear picture. Focus. Darn it. You see it right here. There you go. So you go. This is all in ancient Egypt, not only in Africa, but in the Americas. Here's another picture. All right. I want brothers and sisters to pick up on this. Now, like I said, it's obvious was a connection. People were traveling abroad by ships and boats to various different lands, spreading their technology. Like I said before, carved into rock, carved an image into rock. You know, they took their technology and their knowledge of being master masons and traveled around the world and built great structures around the world. And it had various different, each image had a certain symbol. Here's an Egyptian boat. This is a small boat, but this is one Egyptian tombs. Alright, but these, you see that serpent image on their head. And this is, like I said, it wasn't just in the Americas, it was over in so-called Africa. The serpent images went around the world. So it wasn't just landlocked in one location. So when you hear ignorant Negroes just tell you that you're a descendant of African slaves, like I said, those Negroes don't know what they're talking about. They show their ignorance when they make statements like that. But there's some of people who have pride in just being ignorant. And they take pride in being ignorant. To me, that's really sad and it's sick. Alright? It's really sad and sick, but it also shows you a defeatist attitude. And you're continuing to allow your oppressor to educate your people. Alright? And it's really sick. This is reason why we gotta really study our history and why it's very important to really understand the true nature of who we are and what we are and where we come from, and how a lot of ideas were basically carried around the world. People weren't just landlocked. They carried this technology, this great engineering feat around the world. And I really wish we can really stop with the denying of this, but there's some of my people, no matter how much information you put up or give them, they're going to deny this. Alright, this is what I was trying to find here. This is the last part I'm going to do. Well, okay, here it is. I want to read a little bit of this. It's in this book that I just had. While not as fleshed out as a later representation of Quetzalcoatl, I'm going to pronounce it correctly. The Olmec plume serpent shows that the iconography of the feathered snakes dates back thousands of years. The first major civilization in ancient Mexico adopted on a widespread basis what has been commonly recognized as Quetzalcoatl was Teotihuacan. The massive ancient city with its avenue of the dead, its gigantic pyramids of the sun and moon, also had a temple dedicated to the feathered serpent god. The very stories of Quetzalcoatl, who has already been established as a very old Mesoamerican god, is a prime example of the religious variety found in ancient Mexico. Starting with his creation, there are many versions of how Quetzalcoatl came to be. In one version of the story, he is one of the 400 children of the snake-skirted goddess Coatlicue. I think I pronounced that wrong. My bad. In another version, the goddess Chimalman is a mother of Quetzalcoatl, and there are a few stories about how she became pregnant with him. In one story, she is a virgin who was impregnated by the god Until, Antioch, while she was dreaming. In another story, Shalmaman swallows a piece of jade or emerald and becomes pregnant with Quetzalcoatl. That jade story has two versions of his own. All right, I'm not going to go and read that whole part, but I want to just let you know that there's always a connection to all these ancient civilizations in the ancient world. And that serpent image you'll find, like I said, all over the planet. You have the serpent kings, which I mentioned before, with Akhenaten. You have the serpent king. You see him with that serpent image on his head, on his crown. This is, like I said, this information is in your face, man. What I'm showing you now is more my studying, my researching, and I'm gonna try to do a part 2 to this eventually, to talk about more about the serpent and its connection around the world, because it, like I said earlier, it's showing you how the culture was spread around the planet. And it's impossible when you hear some of these archaeologists will tell you that things were just isolated in one location and these cultures just sprung up. No, there was a connection. There was a connection. People were just building globally, building all over the planet. And I just want to highlight that, because that needs to be said, because you see that image of that serpent image in the Americas, on pyramids in America. You had a serpent type mound structures in America. And then you had those Egyptian pharaohs who have the serpent on their crown. Man, it's always a connection, dude. It's always a connection, brothers and sisters. And I'm going to eventually do a part 2 of this. And I'm going to get more in depth with this, because this really needs to be said. Because when you constantly hear these buffoons tell you that so-called black people wasn't here before 1492 or before slavery, that is the most asinine, dumbass thing you can ever hear, man. Really. They should be ignored, but these clowns continue to push and miseducate and misinform and give our people misdirections. We cannot listen to that no more. We cannot. And I'm begging you, brothers and sisters, continue putting the research. We cannot listen to these clowns. We really can't. We are in a state of emergency. We cannot listen to buffoons. We cannot. Our information is right there in our face. We're going to have to want it. We're going to have to want it. And if you don't want it or care about it, hey, that's on you. But the information's there. You're going to have to seek it. All right. Peace and love, brothers and sisters.